Welcome to Starbound Valor HFY. Subscribe now and dive into daily epic sci-fi adventures where humanity always rises. Earth did not know that a silent meeting was happening far away in deep space, a meeting that would decide the future of the entire human race. In a giant floating station called the Grand Hall of Species, leaders from more than 40 alien civilizations gathered in fear and frustration. They sat inside a dark round chamber, each one staring at a giant hologram of Earth. The image of the blue planet rotated slowly above the center table, glowing softly like an innocent world, yet every species in the room looked at it with suspicion. The oldest voice in the chamber belonged to the Craner High Speaker, a tall creature with crystal skin that reflected the chamber lights. He stood up and spoke in a cold, sharp tone. He said that humans were growing too fast, learning too fast, and fighting too bravely. He warned that humans had changed the balance of power in the galaxy and that they must be stopped before they became a threat. Many species nodded in agreement, remembering how humans had survived wars that should have destroyed them. They remembered how humans fought with a fire no other species had. They remembered how humans refused to kneel, even against stronger enemies. The Targan warlord clicked his claws together and added that humans were unpredictable, emotional, and stubborn. He called humanity a danger to the future. A soft whisper came from the shadows as the Vedhar Mindseer suggested that Earth was not only dangerous because of humans but because of something older inside the planet. Many delegates became silent at that moment, because stories about Earth's strange energy had spread across the galaxy for thousands of years. Some said the planet was alive. Some said it hid an ancient power. Some said Earth was sleeping and must never be woken. The council could not agree on the true nature of Earth, but one thing united them all: fear. The room filled with tense voices until the Craner High Speaker raised his hand and called for silence. He proposed a final and permanent solution. They would place Earth under full control. They would drain its oceans, take its resources, and remove its energy. They would turn Earth into a chained world, a quiet planet with no future. And they would turn humans into workers with no freedom. A heavy silence followed his words. The council members looked at each other. Slowly, one by one, hands, claws, tentacles, and mechanical limbs were raised in agreement. The vote was almost fully united. Only two species hesitated, but under pressure from others, they voted yes as well. And with that, the council sealed Earth's fate. Massive fleets moved toward the solar system. Giant machines called planetary chains were prepared, machines that could wrap around a world like metal vines and drain all its power. When the fleets arrived, humans tried to fight, but they were no match against so many advanced ships. The sky turned dark as alien vessels blocked the sun. Chain towers stabbed into the ground like giant needles, locking into Earth's crust. Energy harvesters hung in orbit, sucking the planet dry. Earth became a prison overnight. Humans were pushed into camps, forced to work, forced to obey. The council celebrated their victory, believing the danger was gone. They believed Earth was finally under control. But far beneath the surface, deeper than the deepest cave or ocean trench, something stirred in the darkness. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something that had watched aliens touch its soil, steal its strength, and cage its children. It did not scream. It did not roar. It simply woke up. And when it woke, the entire planet trembled. At first, the tremor felt like a normal earthquake. Aliens ignored it. Humans thought it was natural. But the shaking grew stronger. In the council's monitoring stations, scanners picked up strange energy patterns coming from Earth's core. One scientist reported that the pulses looked like heartbeats. Another reported that the core heat was rising. A third insisted that something down there was forming shapes, like signals, like messages, like a warning. But the council refused to listen. They believed Earth was weak. They believed humans had no power. They believed the planet's tremors were harmless. They did not know they had just awakened something that had slept for millions of years. They did not know the Earth they chained was not a simple world. They did not know the planet itself was alive. And they did not know that by binding Earth in metal chains, they had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. Deep underground, the ancient force opened its eyes for the first time in ages. The ground whispered. The oceans shivered. The air vibrated. And Earth, the chained world, took its first angry breath. The first warning came quietly, like a whisper inside a storm, but no one in the Galactic Council noticed it. After the chains were placed around Earth, the alien overseers believed everything was under control. They watched humans from high metal towers, using scanners and drones to track every movement. They believed Earth was broken. They believed humans were defeated. But under the calm surface of the planet, something was changing. The first sign appeared when small earthquakes shook human cities that had never felt quakes before. Streets cracked, buildings trembled, and water lines burst like fragile tubes. Humans were confused, but the aliens ignored it. They said the planet was simply reacting to the pressure of the chains. But the earthquakes did not follow natural patterns. They came in short bursts, steady and rhythmic, as if someone, or something, deep underground was breathing. Animals sensed it first. Birds fell silent in the sky. Dogs howled without reason. Farm animals refused to enter shelters. Even wild creatures ran from forests as if some invisible predator was chasing them. Humans looked at each other with fear, but the alien overseers still refused to listen. They claimed humans were imagining things because of stress. One night, the oceans rose without warning. Waves grew tall and hit coastal alien bases with incredible force. The tides behaved like they were being pulled by a second moon. Engineers checked the machines, but they found no error. The oceans were moving by themselves. In the monitoring station orbiting Earth, Vecker, the head alien scientist, stared at his screen with growing confusion. Energy pulses from the planet's core were increasing. They formed repeating shapes that looked like patterns, almost like communication. He reported it to the council, but they said it was impossible. They said Earth was only a rock with life on top. Yet the readings did not lie. The core was waking up. On the surface, humans felt hope for the first time. They whispered among themselves that maybe Earth was fighting back. Maybe the planet had its own power. Maybe they were not alone. But hope did not erase fear. No one knew what was happening under their feet. 2 days later, the first chain tower melted. It happened in a remote desert where humans were forced to work. A giant pillar of metal, almost a kilometer tall, suddenly began glowing red from the inside, as if heated by an invisible fire. Aliens panicked and ordered everyone to move back. But it was too late. The metal bent like soft clay and dripped to the ground in thick glowing streams. The tower collapsed into a pool of molten iron. Humans stared in shock. Not a single explosion occurred. No weapon was seen. It simply melted from the inside. Vecker ran calculations and found something impossible. A burst of heat had come from the ground below the tower, a heat so intense it should have left a crater. But the desert floor was untouched. The heat had targeted only the tower. That was no natural event. That was intelligence. That was intention. But the council still refused to believe. They said it was sabotage, maybe a hidden human trick. They blamed rebels, even though humans had no weapons. On the third night, a strange sound spread across the planet. People heard it in mountains, in cities, in forests, even in oceans. It was not a quake. It was not a storm. It was a deep, low hum that vibrated inside bones. It lasted 12 seconds. Every scanner on every alien ship recorded it. The hum came from the core. When the sound ended, lights across Earth flickered. Machines powered by alien technology shut down for a moment, then restarted. The Galactic Council started to fear something they had not feared before, the idea that Earth itself was alive. But they refused to speak the thought aloud. Meanwhile, the tremors grew stronger. Deep mines and tunnels collapsed as if the Earth had shifted intentionally to block aliens from going deeper. Rivers changed course. Storms formed without weather patterns. Lightning struck alien facilities over and over, as if guided by invisible hands. The planet was attacking, but quietly, carefully, selectively. Humans watched from shadows with wide eyes. They had never seen nature act with such precision. Earth seemed angry. Earth seemed aware. Vecker made one last desperate report to the Council, saying that the planet was reacting to the chains, that the core energy was rising, that something beneath the crust was waking up in ways no science could explain. But before he could finish the message, the ground under his station shook violently. Screens went black. Walls cracked. A sound like a giant heartbeat echoed through the room. And for the first time since the chains were placed, everyone, humans and aliens, felt the truth. Earth was not sleeping anymore. It was waking up. And its first warning had only just begun. The awakening of Earth began slowly, like a sleeping giant stretching its limbs after a long and painful rest, and yet the alien overseers still believed everything was under control. They did not understand that the strange quakes, the melting tower, and the deep hum were only the beginning. Each day the planet's heartbeat grew louder, the energy inside the core rising like a tide preparing to crash. Humans felt the change in the air. They felt the ground thrum beneath their feet, steady and strong, as if something alive and ancient was moving in the depths. In secret corners and abandoned shelters, humans whispered that Earth was waking for them, waking because of them, waking to protect its children. The aliens dismissed these beliefs as foolish hope, but their technology told a different story. Scanners that once picked up the planet's heat now showed massive glowing shapes forming inside the mantle, shapes that moved like giant wings or limbs. Vecker, the alien scientist, stared at the images with pure fear. Nothing like this had ever been recorded on any planet. He knew this was not an earthquake pattern. This was not a tectonic shift. This was life. Something inside Earth was alive, and it was growing. The Council demanded answers, but Vecker could only give them theories. He said the energy spikes looked like rapid heartbeat patterns. He said the glowing shapes inside the mantle were behaving like a guardian creature waking from a deep sleep. He said Earth was no ordinary planet, that it might hold an ancient intelligence. The Council laughed at him. They said planets were not living beings. They said Vecker was letting fear cloud his logic. They said he was imagining things. But the strange events continued. Storms formed above alien bases even on clear days. Lightning targeted their ships with unnatural precision. Gravity shifted in small zones, strong enough to lift machines off the ground for a few seconds. Rivers flowed backward. Trees leaned away from alien structures. Animals that once hid from humans now stood beside them without fear. It was as if the entire planet was choosing sides. And it was not choosing the aliens. In the heart of a ruined city, a group of humans hiding inside a collapsed subway heard something impossible, a voice inside their minds. It was not words, not a language, but a feeling. A feeling of anger. A feeling of protection. A feeling of awakening. They fell to their knees as a soft pulse traveled through the ground like a warm wave. Above them, the sky flashed green for a moment as Earth released another energy burst. The aliens monitoring the region panicked. Their instruments overloaded and shut down. Their ships drifted helplessly for several seconds before restarting. Vecker warned the Council that Earth was testing its power, learning how to control its abilities again after centuries of sleep. The Council refused to believe him, but they could not ignore what happened next. Over the Pacific Ocean, a fleet of alien ships hovered above one of the largest chain anchors. Suddenly the ocean surface began to swirl, forming a gigantic whirlpool with a glowing center. Water rose into the air like a spiral tower. Lightning burst from the vortex and struck the chain anchor repeatedly. The anchor cracked. Metal shattered. Alarms screamed. The aliens fled, leaving the tower to collapse into the sea. Humans watched from distant shores with open mouths. Earth had attacked the chain directly. Not by accident. Not by nature. But by will. In the Grand Hall, the Council held an emergency meeting. They argued, screamed, panicked. Some said Earth was becoming a weapon. Others said the planet was infected. One species suggested destroying Earth entirely. But before they reached a decision, a new reading flashed on their screens. The glowing shape inside the mantle had fully formed. It looked like a giant being curled around the core, pulsing with energy. Vecker stared in horror as the shape slowly opened what looked like an eye. The entire room fell silent as Earth released a massive energy pulse through space. The pulse traveled across the solar system, strong enough to be detected by every listening station in the galaxy. It was a message. A warning. A declaration: Earth was awake. On the planet's surface, humans felt a sudden calm, a deep connection, as if Earth was telling them to prepare. Alien overseers felt something different: fear. Their ships shook. Their weapons flickered. Their machines screamed with errors. The planet was no longer silent. The planet was no longer weak. The planet was alive. And Earth was done suffering in chains. Across the galaxy, fear spread like a dark wind the moment Earth's energy pulse reached every listening station. Civilizations that once laughed at humans now sat in silent terror as their screens showed impossible readings coming from a chained world. They replayed the pulse again and again, watching the signal spread out of Earth like a star exploding without light. It carried a pattern, a rhythm, almost like a voice trying to speak across space. The Galactic Council tried to calm everyone, but even they felt the pressure building. Their ships had failed, their machines had glitched, and their chains on Earth were breaking one by one. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council did not feel like rulers, they felt like hunted creatures. Vecker delivered a new report that made the entire Council chamber fall silent. He said Earth was not reacting like a planet, it was reacting like a wounded living being. He said the glowing shape inside the mantle had grown stronger, its pulse now synced with the core's rotation. He said the energy levels were rising so fast that soon Earth could shake off every chain placed on it. Some species tried to deny it, but the evidence was too clear. Earth was changing. And it was angry. On the planet's surface, strange events continued. Magnetic storms formed without warning, cutting alien communication lines and crashing patrol ships into mountains. Volcanic eruptions blasted alien mining facilities but never touched human camps. Forests seemed to move, expanding as if trying to swallow alien structures. Even the sky behaved like a living, thinking force, creating clouds that blocked alien drones while letting sunlight fall only on human survivors. The aliens began to fear that Earth itself was choosing who lived and who died. One night, a massive tremor struck the entire planet, but instead of causing destruction, it sent a wave of energy outward. Humans felt warmth spread through their bodies, giving them strength and calm. Aliens felt the opposite. Their limbs shook, their hearts raced, and many fainted as if the planet itself had rejected them. When the aliens ran tests, they discovered something terrifying. Earth's magnetic field had reversed for the first time in recorded history. The poles shifted within minutes. This should have caused chaos, but instead the reversal seemed controlled, deliberate, as if Earth had done it to break the frequency networks of the alien chains. And it worked. The anchors trembled and cracked, and dozens of chain towers lost their power. Panic exploded across the alien bases. Soldiers shouted, engineers ran, and commanders screamed orders that no one could follow. Their greatest machines were failing because the planet they had enslaved was fighting back. In a human work camp, people watched the giant glowing towers flicker and dim. Some fell to their knees in hope, others stared in disbelief. They did not understand how Earth was doing this, but they felt something deep inside their bones, a connection they had never felt before, a bond with the planet that now moved like a living guardian beneath their feet. In space, near Earth's orbit, more alien fleets arrived to take control again. They formed a ring around the planet, their ships ready to fire if Earth became too powerful. But as they approached, their engines sputtered. Their shields collapsed. Their navigation systems froze as Earth's magnetic field reached out like invisible arms, gripping the ships and holding them still. Commanders tried everything: manual controls, emergency jumps, system resets, but nothing worked. Earth held them like insects stuck in a web. At that moment, the Galactic Council realized the truth they had refused to see. Earth was not just a planet. It was an ancient intelligence, older than their civilizations, older than the Council itself. It had hidden its strength for ages, letting life grow on its surface without revealing its true nature. But when they placed chains on it, when they tortured it, when they tried to steal its energy, Earth finally woke up. And now, the entire galaxy trembled. Vecker presented one final message. He said the glowing shape inside the mantle had grown even larger. It now wrapped around the core like a guardian spirit, its energy pulsing with purpose. He said the signals Earth was sending looked like words. Words spoken through the planet's heartbeat. Words that translated into one simple message: they will fall. The Council froze in silent horror. They had changed something they did not understand. They had awakened something they could not control. And they had angered a force capable of wiping civilizations from existence. On the surface, as night fell across Earth, the ground vibrated again, slow, steady, like footsteps walking toward battle. And every human felt the same chilling truth. Earth was fully awake now. And the galaxy would soon pay for what it had done. Earth's first strike did not begin with fire or explosions. It began with silence, a deep and heavy silence that settled across the entire planet like a warning before the storm. Humans sensed the tension in the air, like the world was holding its breath. Aliens felt it too, but they tried to ignore it as they rushed to repair the failing chain towers. They did not know that Earth was gathering power, collecting every pulse, every beat, every drop of energy rising from its awakened core. Then, without any sign, the sky burst into waves of shimmering light. It looked like an aurora, but brighter and more violent, dancing above continents and seas. The aliens were confused at first, until their ships began to shake. Their scanners flickered. Their shields cracked. And then it happened. Earth unleashed an EMP storm so powerful that it shut down every alien machine in orbit. Thousands of ships froze in space like dead metal giants. Engines died. Lights vanished. Control panels went dark. The entire alien armada became silent. Humans in the camps looked up with wide eyes, watching the sky turn into a battlefield of falling stars as disabled ships lost stability and drifted uncontrollably. One massive dreadnought spun sideways and crashed into the atmosphere, burning in a bright streak of fire before breaking apart over the ocean. Alien bases on the surface screamed with alarms as their power grids collapsed. Weapons stopped working. Robots froze in place. Defense shields flickered out of existence. For the first time since the invasion, humans were no longer watched, no longer monitored, no longer controlled. Earth had freed them in a single strike. In a secure alien command bunker, officers shouted at each other in panic. They tried to reboot systems, but every device showed the same message: magnetic interference detected. Core signal blocking access. It was Earth's doing. The planet wasn't just attacking, it was thinking. While chaos grew in orbit, Earth turned its focus to the chain towers. These tall metal giants had pierced deep into the crust, sucking the planet's energy day and night. Now Earth pushed back. Beneath one tower buried in a mountain range, the ground began to vibrate violently. Cracks appeared around the base. Rocks slid. A low rumble echoed across the valley. Humans nearby watched as the entire mountain moved like something alive was pushing it from below. Then, with a deep roar, molten magma shot upward in a massive blast, engulfing the chain tower in a fountain of fire. Metal melted instantly. The tower fell like a collapsing skeleton. Earth had destroyed its first chain with its own fury. In another region, near a frozen alien mining zone, the ice beneath a second chain tower cracked open. A powerful geyser of boiling water erupted from the ground, blasting straight through the metal structure. Steam rose into the sky as the tower snapped and fell sideways, crashing into the frozen plains. The aliens guarding the site fled in terror, slipping on the melting ice as they screamed for evacuation. Earth was striking quickly now, attacking any chain tower within reach. But the most terrifying moment came from space. A fleet of alien reinforcements arrived near Earth's orbit, unaware of the EMP storm that had destroyed the others. They approached confidently, forming attack formations, preparing to fire on the planet. But Earth was waiting. The planet's magnetic field surged outward like an invisible tidal wave. The new fleet's sensors overloaded instantly. Engines failed. Stabilizers exploded. One by one, the ship spun out of control. Humans on the ground watched in awe as a giant alien mothership, the size of a small city, was pulled downward. It descended slowly at first, then faster and faster as Earth's gravity locked onto it. The ship fell through the clouds like a wounded beast, roaring as metal tore apart. It struck the ocean with a thunderous crash, sending waves across the coastline that shook cities. The explosion that followed lit the night sky. For the first time, humans and aliens both realized the same truth: Earth was no longer defending itself. It was attacking its enemies. The Galactic Council received desperate messages from surviving overseers, but the transmissions were fragmented and full of fear. Words like gravity weapon, planet intelligence, and collapse echoed through the reports. Vecker, who had warned the Council repeatedly, said only one thing: this is Earth's first strike. The planet has chosen war. Humans, now free from the failing alien control systems, began to organize. They gathered weapons, formed groups, and prepared to fight back. They felt strength returning to their spirits, as if Earth itself was giving them courage. The aliens, on the other hand, were terrified. They hid in bunkers. They fled to damaged ships. They begged the Council for evacuation. But no one could save them. Earth had awakened completely. And its first strike was only the beginning. Deep beneath Earth's surface, far below the crust and the mantle, a small group of humans moved through a forgotten tunnel that had survived the alien invasion. They were led by Dr. Lena Arwen, one of the last human scientists who understood Earth's deep core signals better than anyone. She had followed strange patterns in the earthquakes, believing they pointed toward something hidden, something ancient. Now, with alien machines failing all around the world and Earth's power rising like a storm, she felt certain that the planet itself was calling them. The tunnel shook gently as if the ground were breathing. The walls glowed faintly with natural heat, lighting their path. The deeper they went, the stronger the warmth grew, but it wasn't painful, it felt welcoming, like the planet was guiding them. Behind Lena, her team whispered nervously. No human had ever walked this deep into the planet. The aliens had tried, but every time they drilled below a certain level, the Earth sealed itself or swallowed their machines. It was as if Earth had been protecting something. At last, the tunnel opened into a massive hidden chamber, a cavern so large that their lights could not reach the ceiling. In the center of the chamber stood an enormous sphere of metal and stone fused together, pulsing softly like a beating heart. Lena stepped closer, her breath shaking as she realized what she was seeing. It was not natural. It was not alien. It was ancient technology, built before human history even began. As she touched the surface, the sphere lit up with bright blue lines that spread across the cavern like veins of light. The ground trembled gently. The sphere opened. A warm wave of energy spread through the chamber, and a deep voice echoed inside their minds. It was not a spoken voice. It was a thought. A message. A presence. Children of the surface, the voice said, you have reached the core guardian. Lena fell to her knees in shock. The sphere was an ancient AI, older than any alien civilization. It was a protector forged when Earth was young, created to keep the planet alive for millions of years. It had watched civilizations rise and fall, watched oceans form and mountains break, watched humans grow from tribes to cities. But it had never spoken, until now. Why have you awakened? Lena whispered. The guardian answered, its voice filled with age and power. I was forced to awaken. The chains placed by the invaders hurt the planet. They cut into its energy. They stole its strength. They woke me from my deep rest. Lena asked why the aliens feared Earth so much. The Guardian showed them visions inside their minds, visions of ancient wars fought long before humans existed. The galaxy had once been full of living planets, worlds with minds and cores that shaped their own destiny. But the species that now ruled the stars feared these sentient planets. They hunted them. They destroyed them. Earth survived only by hiding its mind, sinking into sleep for millions of years so the enemy species would forget. But now, the Council had returned. They had placed chains on Earth without knowing what they truly touched. They had awakened the planet's rage. And the Guardian had reactivated its full power. Humans, the Guardian said, you were born on my surface. You grew from my soil. You carry my strength. That is why I choose you now. Lena felt the world tilt as the realization hit her. Earth had chosen humanity to be its defenders in the new war. Not because humans were strong. Not because they were advanced. But because they were connected to the planet in a way no alien species was. As the Guardian's energy flowed through the chamber, humans felt warmth fill their bodies. They felt courage, clarity, and power. It was as if Earth itself was giving them strength to fight. Above ground, the aliens sensed something changing. Their scanners detected a new energy rising from the core, spreading through the crust, powering the planet like a living engine. Alien commanders panicked. They ordered emergency evacuation. They begged the Council to send reinforcements. But it was too late. Earth's power had reached its peak. The Guardian spoke once more. I will strike again soon. The Council must fall. Lena asked what they should do. The Guardian replied, stand with the planet. Fight for your freedom. I will guide you. The chamber shook as energy surged upward. A massive pulse shot through the earth like a heartbeat, rising toward the surface. Humans staggered but did not fall, the energy passed through them like a warm wind. On the surface, alien ships in the sky shuddered. Their engines screamed. Their weapons overheated. Gravity twisted around them like invisible hands crushing metal. The Council's remaining forces began to fall from orbit. Lena and her team fled the chamber as the tunnel glowed with rising energy. The Guardian faded back into the sphere, its final message echoing in their minds. This is only the beginning. Earth will not stop until the chains are broken. And those who placed them will face judgment. Humans reached the surface just as the first alien city ship collapsed. The sky was red with fire. The ground trembled with power. Earth had shown its secrets. And now, it was ready for war. The world changed in the hours after Earth's core Guardian awakened, and every human could feel it. Cities that had once been silent under alien control were now filled with strange new energy rising from the ground. Streets vibrated like something alive beneath them, and machines that the aliens had left behind sparked and failed as if the planet was rejecting all foreign technology. At the same time, humans across the world felt something new inside them, a growing strength, a clarity of mind, and a deep connection to the planet they had never felt before. Soldiers who had been hiding in forests felt the trees whispering with warnings of alien movement. Farmers felt the soil pulse with energy. Children placed their hands on the ground and felt it respond. Humanity was waking up, not just in spirit but with power. In the mountains of Asia, a small resistance camp gathered around their leader, Captain Idris Hale. He had fought the aliens since the first day and had watched friends fall, cities burn, and hope fade. But now, standing on a cliff overlooking the valley, he saw the impossible. Alien carriers were dropping from the sky like broken toys, crashing into the mountainside as if gravity itself had betrayed them. Idris felt the ground humming under his boots, and he knew Earth was helping them. He lifted his radio and called all surviving units. The planet is on our side, he said. We don't hide anymore. We fight. Thousands of miles away, a young woman named Mara Eston stood on a destroyed highway surrounded by survivors. She had been a civilian when the invasion started, but after losing her family, she joined the underground networks to help rescue captured humans. Now she felt something glowing inside her chest, a warmth that traveled through her arms and into the earth when she touched the ground. Instinctively, she raised her hand. The road in front of her shifted. Stone rose up like a shield, forming a barrier just as alien drones fired from the sky. The attacks hit the stone wall harmlessly. The survivors stared in shock. Mara did not understand what she had done, but she felt Earth guiding her, lending her its strength. Across the world, more humans began discovering strange abilities. Some could sense alien machines approaching. Some could harden the ground beneath their feet. Some could cause small vibrations to confuse enemy sensors. None of these powers were flashy or magical, they were the planet's natural forces responding to human will. The Core Guardian had awakened the Earthbound, a new generation of humans connected directly to the planet's energy. The aliens were not prepared for this. In the Council's orbital command center, chaos filled the bridge. Screens showed failing weapons, overheating reactors, and ships being pushed out of the sky by unseen force. Commander Varric slammed his claws on the control table. "This world was supposed to be weak," he shouted. "Why does it resist like this?" One of the alien scientists trembled as he explained that the planet's core had activated ancient defensive systems the Council did not understand. Worse, human resistance groups were rising everywhere. Entire regions the aliens had controlled for years were now in rebellion, driven by the new Earthbound warriors. Even without advanced technology, the humans were becoming too strong to suppress. Varric issued a desperate order: prepare the Starbreaker cannon. The Starbreaker was a weapon forbidden by most of the galaxy, capable of tearing apart a planet's crust if fired directly. The Council had only brought it as a last resort. Using it meant destroying Earth along with the humans, but Varric believed he had no choice. Down on the surface, Lena Arwen and her team returned to the command bunker they had built months ago. Now it was full of survivors, fighters, scientists, and new Earthbound humans seeking answers. Lena told them everything the Core Guardian had revealed. Earth was alive, ancient, and angry. It had chosen humanity as its defenders. And the Council was preparing to destroy the planet. Panic filled the bunker, but Lena raised her voice. "The planet is stronger than you imagine," she said. "It is not afraid. And neither should we be." She explained that the Guardian had given them a mission: destroy the alien control towers around the world, which were the chains binding Earth's power. If the chains were broken before the Starbreaker cannon fired, Earth could shield itself fully. Captain Idris joined the communication channel from his mountain camp, reporting that resistance groups worldwide were ready. Mara and the survivors she had saved connected as well, offering to support. For the first time since the invasion began, all human groups united under one purpose. The world itself rumbled in agreement as if the planet approved. Night fell over Earth, but the darkness did not bring fear. Instead, small lights flickered across continents, fires in rebel camps, signals from hidden bunkers, and glowing blue sparks rising from the Earth as the Core Guardian spread its energy. Humans marched, armed with whatever they had: metal pipes, old rifles, sharpened tools, and their new Earthbound strength. They were no longer fighting for survival alone. They were fighting for a living world that had chosen them. Above them, alien ships struggled to stay afloat. Below them, Earth whispered like a giant waking from a long sleep. The war for the planet was no longer one-sided. The tide had turned. And now, the rise of the Earthbound had begun. The world trembled as the humans prepared to launch their greatest mission, a mission that would decide whether Earth lived or died. The Core Guardian had shown Lena Arwen and the Resistance leaders a vision of the alien control towers, massive black structures buried deep inside continents and oceans, each one acting like a chain that held Earth's power locked down. If these towers were destroyed, Earth would be free to protect itself from the Starbreaker cannon. If they failed, the Council would fire the weapon and tear the planet apart. Captain Idris Hale stood before his mountain fighters, explaining their target: the Himalayan Tower, the oldest and strongest of the chains. The tower was hidden inside a valley surrounded by thick alien shields, but the Guardian's energy pulsed through the mountains and showed them a path. His team prepared explosives, weapons, and Earthbound members who had begun learning to use their new abilities. Idris looked at the youngest Earthbound, a boy no older than 14 who could sense vibrations deep underground. The boy assured him, "Earth will guide us." Idris nodded, trusting the strange new world he was now part of. Meanwhile, Mara Eston led her own group toward the Pacific Tower, a massive structure rising from the ocean like a black pillar. She stood on a small boat, her hands glowing faintly with Earth's energy as waves moved around her as if listening. Alien patrol ships guarded the tower, but the sea itself seemed angry. Waves lifted, currents shifted, and the water around the alien ships grew rough. Mara felt Earth's emotion, rage toward the tower that had imprisoned it for so long. She raised her arms, and the sea surged higher, pushing her boat forward as her team braced themselves. In Europe, Lena had gathered the largest group of resistance fighters, preparing to attack the Continental Tower located beneath an old city. They descended into the underground tunnels where alien machines patrolled. Earthbound scouts guided them by sensing metallic vibrations, steering the group around danger. Lena carried a small device given by the Core Guardian, a glowing shard of Earth's inner crystal. It pulsed with warm blue light, pointing toward the tower's heart. As humans across the world marched toward the towers, the Council's command center fell deeper into panic. Commander Varix watched as screens showed human forces approaching the chains. Energy spikes from the planet were interfering with alien sensors. Earth was helping its defenders at every step. "Increase drone patrols," Varix ordered, but the drones struggled to fly as gravity surged in strange pulses. The scientist at the controls shook his head. "The planet is resisting us, Commander. It is blocking our power." That sentence made Varix furious. "Then prepare the Starbreaker cannon. If we cannot hold the world, we will destroy it before it destroys us." Technicians rushed to activate the giant weapon, a monstrous machine that glowed with red light as it charged. Back on Earth, the first attack began in the Himalayas. Idris and his fighters followed the path shown by the Core Guardian. Rocks shifted naturally to open new routes, while alien patrols somehow missed them completely, distracted by sudden gusts of wind or ground tremors. When they reached the valley, the alien shield glowed like a dome. Idris signaled the Earthbound boy. The boy knelt, placed his hands on the ground, and closed his eyes. The earth beneath him rumbled, vibrating like a heartbeat. Cracks formed along the alien shield's base, caused not by human weapons but by Earth's will. The shield flickered. Idris shouted, "Now!" His team launched explosives, hitting the weakened spots. The shield collapsed with a flash. Aliens surged out of the tower, firing at the humans. But the Earthbound pushed forward. Some hardened the ground under their feet to create instant cover. Others sent small tremors that disrupted the alien machines. Idris led the charge into the tower's core chamber. Inside, he saw the massive glowing chain, an energy beam running deep into the ground. He planted the strongest explosive they had. As alarms screamed, he ordered everyone out. The explosion shook the entire mountain range. The chain shattered. A pulse of blue energy shot into the sky, freeing Earth from one of its bindings. At the same time, Mara reached the base of the Pacific Tower. Alien ships fired at her boats, but waves rose like walls, blocking their attacks. Her team climbed the tower's lower structure using ropes as the sea smashed into alien defenses. Mara reached the top, where the chain glowed like a spear of dark light. She focused, letting the ocean's power flow through her. The water below surged upward in a spiral, hitting the chain with enormous force. Cracks spread. Her team planted charges to finish it. The tower exploded, sending a shockwave across the sea as the chain broke. In Europe, Lena and her fighters reached the underground chamber of the Continental Tower. Alien machines attacked, but Earthbound fighters disrupted them with pulses from the ground. Lena placed the crystal shard into the tower's control slot. The shard glowed brighter, sending Earth's pure energy through the tower. The chain inside screamed with cracking sounds. Lena shouted, "Fall back." The tower collapsed in a brilliant blue explosion. 3 chains had fallen. Across the world, every human looked up as blue light streaked across the sky, signaling Earth's freedom spreading. The Core Guardian whispered through vibrations beneath their feet, "Only one remains." But high above Earth, the Starbreaker cannon continued to charge, glowing brighter than ever. And Commander Varix prepared to fire it. The final battle was coming. The world held its breath as the Resistance prepared to face the last and greatest challenge, the final chain. Unlike the others, this chain was not buried in mountains or hidden beneath oceans. It was at the heart of the aliens' main fortress, a massive city floating above the ruins of Earth's greatest human metropolis. The tower rose like a black spire piercing the clouds, guarded by the strongest forces the Council had left. Captain Idris Hale, Lena Arwen, Mara Eston, and the Earthbound fighters gathered one last time to plan their attack. The Core Guardians' energy pulsed within them, filling them with strength and determination. Lena studied the maps carefully. The fortress was protected by layers of shields and fields powered by the planet's own chains, making it nearly impossible to reach. But the Guardian revealed a secret path, a tunnel network deep beneath the city that connected directly to the chain's core. The plan was risky. The Earthbound would enter through the tunnels, disable the shields from below, and then strike the tower together. As the human fighters prepared, alien ships swarmed above, ready to crush the rebellion once and for all. Commander Varix stood on the fortress's highest platform, watching the approaching humans with cold eyes. He knew this fight would decide the fate of Earth and possibly the entire galaxy. "Destroy them," he ordered. The tunnels beneath the city were dark and filled with dangers. Alien patrols hunted the Earthbound fighters, but the humans moved with a strange confidence. They felt Earth guiding their steps. The ground shifted beneath their feet, opening passages and closing traps. Vibration-sensing Earthbound scouts led the way, avoiding deadly mines and laser grids. Lena carried the glowing crystal shard from the Core Guardian, using its light to power their path and weaken the alien defenses. After hours of tense movement, they reached the underground chamber housing the final chain. The chain was a massive beam of energy, twisting like a serpent of light. It pulsed with raw power, feeding the fortress's shields and weapons. Idris looked at the chain and felt the weight of centuries of oppression. He planted explosives carefully around the beam's core, preparing to end the alien hold forever. Suddenly, alarms blared. Alien troops poured into the chamber, firing energy weapons that lit the dark tunnels like stars. A fierce battle broke out. Humans fought with courage and Earthbound powers. Some sent tremors through the ground, knocking enemies off balance. Others hardened their skin like stone, resisting blasts that would have killed ordinary soldiers. Lena moved toward the control panel, using the crystal shard to disable the fortress's shields. Her hands glowed with blue energy as she connected the shard to the main console. The shields flickered and then began to fail. Commander Varix, watching from above, realized his defenses were collapsing. He ordered the Starbreaker cannon to begin firing. Outside, the sky lit up as the massive weapon charged its deadly beam, aimed at Earth's core. Lena shouted to Idris, "We must finish before the cannon fires." The battle grew more intense. Explosions shook the tunnels. Humans pushed forward despite heavy losses. Idris detonated the explosives around the chain. The energy beam shattered with a blinding flash, sending shockwaves through the fortress. The shields collapsed entirely. The alien ships faltered in orbit, their weapons silent. The Starbreaker cannon stopped charging, its beam fading away. Commander Varix screamed orders to retreat, but it was too late. Earth's power surged through the planet like a wave, breaking every chain, destroying every control tower. On the surface, humans cheered as blue light spread across the sky, signaling freedom and victory. The Core Guardian's voice echoed in their minds, "The chains are broken. Earth is free." But the battle had cost many lives. Heroes fell, and cities lay in ruins. Lena, Idris, and Mara stood together, looking at the dawn rising over a world reborn. Earth had awakened, and with it, humanity's true power. The Galactic Council had been defeated, but the war for the galaxy was only beginning. The planet, once enslaved, was now a force to be reckoned with. And those who tried to bind Earth would never forget the price they had paid. With the chains broken and the alien invaders defeated, Earth began to breathe freely once again. The scars of war were everywhere: burned forests, shattered cities, and silent machines, but beneath the destruction, life started to grow. Humans emerged from hiding places, stepping into the light of a new world. Lena Arwen, Captain Idris Hale, and Mara Eston stood together on a hill overlooking a city slowly rebuilding itself. They felt the pulse of the planet beneath their feet, steady and strong, like a heartbeat of hope. The Core Guardian's presence remained, guiding and protecting the planet and its people. Across the globe, humans began to explore the powers that the awakening had given them. Some could sense changes in the weather, calling rain to parched lands. Others could feel the strength of the earth in their muscles, running faster and lifting heavier than before. Communities formed around these earthbound warriors, who became protectors of the new age. The old divisions between nations faded as people united under one goal: to heal their world and prepare for what might come next. The Galactic Council, once so confident, was now scattered and broken. The species that had ruled the stars in fear and oppression retreated to their corners of the galaxy, wary of Earth's newfound strength. Some sent envoys to negotiate peace, but many feared the power that Earth had awakened. Lena knew the galaxy would watch Earth closely. They had seen a planet rise from change to power, and none would forget. The resistance leaders began to build a new council, one made of humans and earthbound warriors, to guide the planet's future. Their first mission was to protect Earth from any further invasion and to study the ancient technologies hidden beneath the surface. Mara led expeditions into the deep caves and tunnels, searching for lost knowledge and secrets left by the Core Guardian. Idris trained new fighters, teaching them how to connect with the planet and use their earthbound powers wisely. Despite their victories, the leaders' new challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was vast, and threats could come from places they had never seen. But for the first time in history, humanity stood united and strong, backed by the living power of their planet. One night, as the stars shone brightly above, Lena stood alone outside the rebuilt command bunker. She looked up and felt a quiet calm. Earth whispered through the wind, a gentle promise that this was only the beginning of a new journey. A journey of hope, of growth, and of freedom. And with the dawn of this new era, Earth was ready to write its own story, no longer a chained world but a shining beacon of life and strength in the vast galaxy.